Hey everyone, it's Ms. Lopez. In this video, we are going to practice with chi-squares on an FRQ format. You're given here a diagram that is referred to as a choice chamber. And in this choice chamber, there are three sections. A section here with this ripe banana, the insertion point, and a section with the unripe banana. And what they're going to do is this becomes sealed. They put a closure on it, and they're able to insert fruit flies into this point right here. Now, they want to see after given amounts of time, 1 minute and then 10 minutes, where the flies migrate to within this choice chamber. And so what you're going to do is you're going to perform a chi-square test on the data for the 10-minute period in the banana experiment. Specify the null hypothesis that you are testing. Show your work. Reject or fail to reject the null hypothesis. So you can see that this FRQ has multiple words bolded, so multiple tasks that you are going to complete. So in order to perform the chi-square test, we're going to need to know the observed and expected values. But the expected values are based on a null hypothesis. So we're actually going to develop the null hypothesis first. The simplest way to do that for this null hypothesis is to simply say that in each of the three sections, there will be an equal number of flies. Because if I tried to come up with, there will be 40% more on this side than this one, but only 20% more than this one, we're going to have to start doing additional math calculations, and that's just going to eat up some of our time. So we're going to keep it simple by saying our null hypothesis is that there is an even number of flies in each of the three areas. Doesn't seem like that's likely to happen, especially given the numbers here, but we're just going to keep it simple. Now that I have a null hypothesis, I can develop the expected values. So I'm going to use the chart that College Board provided to make calculating this chi-square a little simpler. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put my categories here on this column. There are three sections of this chamber, so I'm just going to name them the same as they are named in the choice chamber. Now for the expected values, my null hypothesis is that there's an equal number of flies in each section. So what I would do is I would count up the total number of flies and simply divide it by 3 for the three sections. So I have 45 plus 3 plus 12, which comes out to 60. So there are 60 total flies. And if I think my null hypothesis is that there's an equal number of flies in each section, then I'm going to take 60 and divide it by 3. And so my expected value is 20. Now the observed values is what's actually given to you in the data table. So you can see here that the end with the ripe banana, there were 45. In the middle section, there were 3. And in the unripe section, there were 12. These are the observed values. Now I'm going to use my calculator to fill out the rest of this table. I was given headers here to help me remind me of what the next step I'm supposed to do. So for example, here I'm going to take the observed minus the expected, and then whatever value I get there, I'm going to square it. And then whatever value I get here, I'm going to divide it by the expected value to fill in this last column. Once I have calculated the values in this last column, the chi-square is going to be this column right here, all added up. So 31.25 plus 14.45 plus 3.2, that value, when we add this column up, that is going to be our chi-square. So this is the chi-square, 48.9. But what does that number mean? When we write our conclusion, we have to include how we interpret this chi-square. And in order to do that, we have to look up a critical value on the table on our formula sheet. Given that the fact that there are 3 options, then the degrees of freedom is equal to 2. Based on that, I looked up the critical value at 5.99, and I can see that my chi-square is larger than that value. So when I write my conclusion, I'm going to include all of that information. So it should look something like this. We reject the null hypothesis because the chi-square of 48.9 is higher than the critical value of 5.99 at 2 degrees of freedom. So in this conclusion, not only are we providing what the chi-square is, but we're interpreting the results of the chi-square. Since we reject the null hypothesis, that means we failed to reject the alternative hypothesis that there is not an equal number of flies in each section. Thanks so much for watching, folks. I hope this video was helpful. Bye.